Hi guys, welcome back to the introduction. This is part two, intuition. It's part of the first video we were just talking about of signs, angel signs, receiving messages from your loved one, your angels, feather signs, coin signs, birds, insects, anything that comes into your life that feels that it's a sign of some sort, then you should really read up on it. Um, One of the first things we're going to do with intuition is we're going to talk about the things that you need to be doing to be able to receive the messages that we've just talked about in video one. Firstly, is trust your instincts. It can be difficult to depend on something that you don't understand, and you shouldn't probably base everything upon your decision. But at the same time, like, the first thing to do is like to trust yourself. um this may be subtle, so go with subtle things. Start off with the odd little tiny thing. As I said, like, do the feathers, like, picking them up, checking the signs of them, and trusting that what you're getting is the message. And the more you trust the message, the more you trust yourself, the more the trust that you feel about your feelings towards what you're receiving and what you're getting and how you're perceiving the messages, the trust will get better. But you need to put trust in to be able to get trust back. Um, I'm very much not in a position to basically say that I was just able to trust, because I wasn't. I mean, for me, my psychic ability came to me as a child. I didn't learn about it till later on in my life, in my early 20s. But I actually only started trusting it 6 years ago. The minute that I became able to trust was the minute I was able to let go of the fear. Um, of the element of, like, what I was going to witness, what I was going to experience. And I had to trust that there was a reason that I was being given this. If I didn't trust that there was a reason that I was given it, I would have ended up believing I was mad. Simple as. There's a lot of people out there that are misdiagnosed with mental health issues, especially things like schizophrenia, bipolar, borderline personality disorders. For me, borderline personality disorder, yeah, there probably is a symptom called borderline personality disorder, which I've been diagnosed with. For me, I'm actually recognizing that maybe it's not my personalities. Is this mad? Yes. Am I mad? No. And this is part of the trust. I've had to trust that what I'm seeing and what I'm witnessing and what I'm experiencing is real. What I'm experiencing, sorry, is real. And I've got to trust that, like, this is part of me. If I don't, then, like, it could quite easily have sent me down the wrong path of into mental illness and that. I've been looked at, I've been diagnosed. I'm definitely not mentally ill. I definitely do have an ability. And this was another thing with trust, for me to be able to, trust talking to people about it. I mean, a lot of psychiatrists, you try to explain to them, I see things, I hear things straight away. It's a big alert. Oh, there must be something medically wrong with you. Well, no, there isn't nothing medically wrong with me. The only thing that's medically wrong with me is people not believing what I see, what I feel, and what I every experience that I have. Um, so to start with is stop investing your trust into other people to answer these questions for you. You need to trust that what you're receiving is a message to you, and start trusting yourself. Trust the feelings and that. Once you start being able to trust it, the more you'll be able to open your horizons into it. The more that you can trust, the more that you can let go, the more that you can draw more positives from it. Secondly, is ask yourself questions and listen to the first answer that pops into your mind. So a lot of spirit guides, this is one thing that I talked about just a minute ago in the first video, is how to recognize what is your thought and what is a message from spirit. So let me give, for instance, if you're in a bad relationship, say, and you keep getting repetitive, right, for this situation to end, I must do this. you know, if you're getting it repetitively, like, yes, it probably is your thought, but to be fair, it's probably been suppressed upon you to start with from spirit, guiding you that this thought and this that I've given to you is to help you, to support you in making the decision on your next step on your journey, whether it be spiritual or whether or not just be your everyday journey. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll actually drive themselves mad by they'll sit there, they'll get a message, or they'll get something intuition, you know, through intuition. They'll get a thought, and instead of acting on that thought straight away, just go with it. Like, do you know what I mean? Just trust your instincts, trust your intuition, trust that your angels are talking to you. You sit there pondering about it, they're going to give up. I mean, like, you know, if you were helping a friend in a physical sense and your friend, you know, you were giving them advice and you were constantly over and over and over giving the same advice, and then no one listens, then you're going to give up on giving advice, aren't you? So this is no different to spirit, like, do you know what I mean? If you don't go with the first thing that comes in your mind and you don't listen to what spirit's telling you, you know, it may be a spirit, an intuition, and also your own thought. But, you know, these are sent as messages to guide you. These are sent as messages to put you back on your path of where your journey for your future should be. You don't want to listen, then that's your choice, but your path isn't going to go to where you want it to be. You're going to literally be just pondering on it and in the same rut for the rest of your life if you need to be. For me as well, on a mediumship level. So if I was given a reading and say I wanted an age, I would get a picture of a number 18, say. That's the first thing I would go with. I wouldn't go, oh yeah, number 18. Oh no, I'm getting shown 24, or I'm getting shown 23, because that's your ego. Your ego will automatically want to take you from that first choice, from that first decision. It will want to take you on a path to mislead you, to misguide you. There is something I feel that, like, you know, does give us basically the option of weighing up, you know, the yin yang. You know, you can sit there and ponder for ages and you can stay on the one side, or you can actually draw the line in the sand and recognize that it may be a message, it may be something that's going to help you. Try it out, like, you know, see what happens. For me, on a spiritual level, like as I was saying, if someone comes to me and I want a name, go with the first thing that comes to you. If you go in with pictures, you're asking about the burial. If you're asking about how they passed, asking their age, asking their number where they lived, ask them about their house. You can ask them to show you physical, like things like actually being in their bedroom and that. But to go with the first thing that you see is basically what your body's telling you to do. It's your ego that stops you from going from the first decision. If you don't go with your first decision, sometimes, you know, if the decision feels wrong, you'll know it feels wrong. Your body tells you it feels wrong. Something doesn't feel right, but don't ponder on it. Don't go for days and days and days thinking the same thing, because if this is spiritually sent, as I said, they just won't bother in the end. It might be scary, like, do you know what I mean, to be able to, you know, to do this, because the fact that you're starting to basically discard what your body's always taught you, and that is to question everything that's given to you. And the reason that it's questioning is because it's rationalizing with your own ego, basically. So you've got to unrationalize that ego, go with the first choice, go with the first decision, and you'll be quite amazed, to be fair, on how things actually start unraveling and start getting a little bit better, and you start recognizing a lot more signs from your angels and what they're sending you. Number 3 is meditate. This is a great way to, for one, like, you know, just general shit that you've got in your life every day. General, you know, every day, like if you're working long hours, if you're doing anything that's stressful, meditation, for one, is basically to relax yourself, to relax your own mind. Once your mind is relaxed and you're in a position that you're calm and you've just let go of everything, you've got yourself in a relaxed meditative state, your mind will then start to clear over days. You'll start actually putting things in your life into perspective a bit better, because what you're doing is you're giving yourself that actual time to take a step out and think about the situation. For me, meditation has been quite difficult. I have a big family. Trying to get 5 minutes to do meditation is absolutely impossible in this house. But what I have done many a times, if I really do need to meditate and I need to find time to meditate, is just stick a load of candles in the bathroom, stick them around you, use the candles and the light and the ambience of the room of itself to release yourself, let yourself be calm and free. Um, you can also, as well, I mean, with meditative state, you can actually take yourself into some really nice places to be able to meditate, to calm yourself in a way that you can actually open your mind and open your horizons. I actually told my friend about this. I thought I was quite nuts, but I actually find it quite lush. I think it's quite nice, relaxing, and it just takes you out of reality for a moment. But yeah, when I'm in the bath, I like to think myself as a bit of a mermaid. I close my eyes. I imagine the sun shining on my face. I imagine that I've got a tail, and I unravel the tail onto the end of the bed and on the end of the bath. Um, I sit there, take a little swim. But, your meditation is to basically be able to free your mind, to be able to open your mind, to be able to open your third eye. Taking yourself somewhere like I do in the bath, so I take myself into a meditative state. But for me, meditative state, I would love to rather be on a nice warm beach in the middle of the Pacific with no one else around me. So that's what I do when I'm in the bath. I imagine myself as being on that little island in the middle of nowhere with no one to bother me, no one to get in my head, no one to, be stressing me. But I find then that calms me. It gives me such a better relaxation. But what it also does is the part of the mind that you're using to envision yourself on the beach, in the bath, and sorry, not in the bath, to envision yourself as a mermaid, to envision your tail. This is all the parts of the brain that you're actually wanting to open at a later date, to be able to start receiving spiritual messages. For me, the best way I describe it is the frontal lobe, the part of the brain here, that if you were to imagine a picture, if you were to sit there and look at a picture and then look away from it and then look at that picture in your mind, this is where your mind will see it. You think you're seeing it in your eyes, but you're not. You're actually seeing it what's within your third eye. This for me is what I use for my abilities. So if I want numbers, if I want visions, if I want pictures, all of them I see within this part, which is where your memory gland is. It's what actually holds your memories, but it's also your creative part of your brain. And this is what you're trying to switch on, is you're trying to switch on the part of the brain that actually is the connection to the spirit. So doing things like meditating in the bath and basically pretending to be a mermaid, you could pretend to be doing anything. You could be diving, you could be going after clams, you could be doing anything that makes you at peace, anything that brings something to you that's constructive in a way of relaxing you, but also taking you out of that comfort zone of just relaxing. For me, it takes me into that third mind of meditative state that I'm already starting to see visions in the third eye. Although they're my own thoughts, I'm suppressing them thoughts. They're not part of the meditation levels that you can get to with guidance of seeing actual visions and stuff done properly. But it does actually start to open up this part of the brain, and it starts to help you recognize where you'll see your pictures, visions, and also it'll give you more. Once you start relaxing, you'll be able to also pick up on physical sensations. So if someone was to walk in the room now and stand up by the side of me, I would feel them in my aura, I would feel them in my sensations. And that this is another thing you're doing within your meditative state, is you're getting your body into a state of relaxation, where your body is in tune on a total different level, on a karmic level of being able to pick up on senses around you. Things like a lot of people say, oh, someone just walked over my grave. That is one of the senses that you actually will use during your time of mediumship. being aware of like your surroundings, your body language, things that come near you and stuff. We'll talk about this on a later date. I'll do an experiment with you of teaching how to recognize spirit, how to feel spirit. To be fair, like doing your meditative state first and just learning to relax is the first step that you need to be doing at the moment before we go on to actual opening up to senses and feelings. Number 4, listening to your gut feeling. I mean, everyone gets this. Like, if you're around someone and I don't know, you just seem to know. Your body tells you something doesn't feel right here, or I feel sick, or this person makes me feel agitated. This person makes me feel loved. Now, going with your gut feeling, you will start to recognise. For me, it's very much, I like to look at everything as black and white, the yin yang. So basically, you've got your negatives and you've got your positives. Your gut feeling, basically, you can, gut feel, is this a positive? If it's a positive, you'll feel it within your gut, but you'll also feel it within your heart, within your shoulders. You'll feel relaxed, you'll feel calm around these people, or you'll feel calm in the situation. You'll feel love, you'll feel at peace. But if you get the opposite gut feeling, this is where your body will then do the opposite. But you'll get the exact same feelings in the same place. So your gut first will automatically clamp, and it'll be like, something isn't right here. Not sure about this. But then what you'll do is you'll find that it will go up into your chest and it will go into your shoulders, and you'll find you're actually quite like, stern and negative. Now, this is very much the way to, like, is a very good tool to have to find friends, to recognise friends, recognise what people want from you, or also to recognise what you could be given to them. So, recognising your gut feeling on how people make you feel or situations make you feel will also help you to start recognising how your body language or your mannerisms may also upset someone else's gut feelings, or may upset other people's surroundings, and also just basically recognizing this basically gives you just more like intuition into making the right decisions. If it feels wrong, then it's wrong. If it feels right, then it's right. For me, I find a lot of my friends unfortunately don't recognise right from wrong with their gut feeling. Even if they feel it's wrong, they'll still pursue it for days on end. And for me, this is where we go back to ask yourself your question and listen to the first answer. So we're going with your gut feeling, you would go with the first thing that comes to you. You would not, if you had any sense, go for days on end trying to question what your mind has already told you, what your higher spirit, higher power, your guides have already told you. It goes back to the intuition, trust in intuition, trust in your guides, trust in your own instincts. Go with the first thing that comes to you, and then 9 times out of 10 you can't be wrong. For your gut to actually question something in the first place, also to me would be an alarm. Why did I think that? Why did I have that experience? Why did I feel that way? If you walked into a room and you knew that there was someone negative in there, you wouldn't go over and speak to that someone negative. You'd go to the positive. This is what you need to address on a daily basis in your own natural lifestyle, and going with what they call gut instincts. For me, it's also intuition and being sent communication from higher power. Listening to and communicating with your multiple brains. Now, basically, research has shown that we have functional and complex brains when it comes to both our heart and gut. The brain logs memory and intelligence, as the points above indicate. Your gut and heart know when something isn't right. So basically listening and communicating with your multiple brains. Now, this is where I go back to saying about people that have personality disorders. For me personally, I think that there are a lot of spirits that do suppress different attitudes on you. The same as if you were also in someone else's space, and their body language could give you a certain feeling and sense. Once you start doing this, you'll start recognizing what is the heart and what is the gut. So if you're feeling that it's a positive, you'll get the flutter in the heart, you'll feel the positive, you'll feel relaxed. If it's a negative, then your body, as I said, will be tense, and it will be like, no, I'm not doing this, I don't like it, there's something not right about it. Do yourself a favor, stop fighting with your brain, like, do you know what I mean? Go with the first thing that comes to you, go with your intuition, your gut instinct, and you'll be amazed on what, you don't have to make drastic decisions, you just have to change that decision in some way. Sometimes it may mean walking away, sometimes it may mean just like, listening to your gut and doing something different and see how it works. But go with your first decision, go with your gut instinct, go with how your heart feels and how your gut feels, and what's right and what's wrong from it. Another thing that I've started doing quite recently is keeping an intuition journal. So basically, if I get any thoughts or feelings, or if I get any signs, recently I did a reading at a spiritualist church where I suffered really bad with anxiety. I hadn't associated it till quite recently. I had always put it down to stage fright, but to be fair, I think that it is the fact that I've got a lot of spirits that are coming in. They're all wanting to say stuff, they're all wanting to get heard. And the thing is I then become overwhelmed. I then become to the stage where I'm nervous, I feel sick, I don't want to go out, I don't want to do it. So what I started doing was writing down what I was picking up, writing down what I was feeling. I found by doing this, I actually got over a lot of the anxieties, because the fact that I didn't need to keep it in here. I didn't need to have that suppression upon me. Me having it written down meant that I could say, thank you, I've written it down and I'll remember that, and I'll come back to it when I need to. For some things like during meditation or during dreams or anything like that, you may get visions. A silly dream, like, I had a dream a couple of weeks ago that up where I live, that there's a refugee camp. It's full of Muslims, there's loads of them, there's like these urns that are burning on the way into there. It's quite odd for me because I live in a tiny little country village that, you don't really see many people of different races at all. Like, you've got the odd one or two, like you've got your local Indian and that. But for me to be seeing in a vision like a whole field full of refugees, was quite scary in my dream. But I've had dreams that have come true that I have actually trusted my intuition this time, and I've written it down. And it's not happening yet, but who's to say in the next 5 to 10 years it doesn't end up as a refugee camp? But wouldn't it be nice if you had got it written down, and I've got it dated, I've got it signed, I've got it witnessed. But also as well, it just relieves the body to write it down. It relieves the brain of having to be overwhelmed with too many feelings. It may be a personal situation, like, if you're going through, say, a separation in your marriage. It's good to write down the goods and the bads. If you're doing something like I am now, like, it's good to have it written down. Like, it just saves the body from being more anxious, more overwhelmed, and you're able to do a lot more with it. Basically, tuning into your intuition is very much needed with the subject that we were talking about in the first video, where it comes to recognizing signs from your angels. When you're sent something, so say if you went outside now, and I know it's only a little plastic birdie, but this little bird was out there, you've just asked yourself a question before you went outside, you then saw it, your ego would automatically go, I wonder if that's a sign. What you need to do is go with your first instinct. If you think that you thought it was a sign, then it probably was a sign. Then have a look what it is. Go in, research it, read it up, have a look. Like, we've all got Google now. You're able to go on, you're able to check up on what these little sort of messages are. Always remember to give thanks. It's very important. I should have mentioned it in the first video and I didn't, but whatever signs that your spirit guide sends you, whether it be of a physical sign, whether it be just trusting your gut instinct, maybe it's a sign that, like, helps you to move on to the next step. Remember to always give thanks. we've come to the end of the topic. So thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll be back with you later. And as I said, always remember to give thanks for your praise. Thank you. Bye.